Chapter 1. That Nickname. I never really thought about food until last spring. My mom always made nice things like spag bowl or sausage and beans for our tea. On Friday nights, we always had fish and chips. Saturdays were for pizza, and on Sundays, we had a big roast dinner. When I was hungry in the afternoons, I just went to the kitchen and got something from the fridge. Mom always bought my favorite snacks like vanilla yogurt, strawberries, and chocolate biscuits. But one day after school, in March, I opened the fridge and it was empty. "Mom," I shouted up the stairs, "there's no food in the fridge and I'm starving." Of course, I wasn't really starving. We had school meals at lunchtime, but I did want some chocolate. Anyway, Mum came down the stairs and into the kitchen, followed by Dad. Now that was weird. Why wasn't Dad at work? "Megan, me and Dad need to talk to you about something," Mum said. Oh, this was serious. Mum only ever called me Megan when I was in trouble. "It's okay, Meggie. Don't look so worried," Dad added. "Okay, so maybe no one was dead and they weren't getting divorced. Phew. Maybe it was about that maths test I did last week then. My teacher, Mrs. Bright, said she was a bit disappointed with my result. No, wait a minute. Maybe our neighbor Mr. Cullen was angry because I went over his flowers on my bike, but that was just an accident." "Maggie, are you listening to me? I said we're just having a bit of money trouble, that's all." Dad tried to reassure me. "What kind of money trouble?" I asked. "Mum's working full time and you have some hours at the biscuit factory." "I know, Maggie, but since I lost my job, things have been hard," Dad explained. "And today the factory bosses told Dad they don't have any work for him," Mum continued. "OMG, we're going to be poor. Does this mean that we're going to lose our house and have no money for food or clothes?" I asked, suddenly feeling very scared. "Of course not," Mum and Dad replied in unison, but they didn't look very convinced. "It just means that we'll have to be more careful with our money," Mum said. That didn't sound too bad, but I was about to discover that it was, in fact, very bad. I left Mum and Dad drinking a cup of tea around the kitchen table. Tea is the solution to everything in our house, and went to the garden. Leah was sitting on the grass talking to her teddies. Leah is my little sister. She's totally cute and everyone loves her. Leah was organizing a tea party with her bear friends. I told you tea is a big thing for us, and invited me to join them. "Meg, come and have some tea and cake," she said. "Thank you very much, Miss Leah," I replied, as I tried to find a space between all the other guests. Leah served the imaginary tea and cake, but after about an hour of this game, we were both a bit peckish. "I'll go and get us a real snack now, Leah," I offered. "Maybe Mum would give me some money for ice cream. We had enough money for ice cream, right?" "Mom, can I have some money for an ice cream for me and Leah, please?" I shouted as I walked into the kitchen. Mum and Dad were still sitting at the table, and their sad faces answered my question. "Sorry, love. Dad offered. We'll go to the supermarket later and get something after 6 p.m. After 6 p.m.? Totally weird. We normally had our tea at 6 p.m. Can we go now, Dad? I asked. But Dad just shook his head and told me to go out and play with Leah again. Oh no, Leah. She's waiting for her ice cream. I need an idea. Got it. Hey, Leah, I shouted. I've got an amazing magic ice cream sundae for you. Where is it? She asked, really excited. It's magic, remember? You can't see it, but you can taste it, I told her. Mine is raspberry, strawberry, and vanilla. Delicious. What does yours taste like? Leah stuck out her tongue and closed her eyes in concentration. Mine tastes like chocolate bubbles, apple pie, and blueberry muffins, Leah squealed with delight. Wow, that sounds so good, Leah, I replied, as we both laughed and ate our pretend sundaes. We were just about to have magic milkshakes when Dad called me. Come on, Maggie, let's go and do the shopping. We can take the 1740 bus and be there just in time. Just in time. Just in time for what, I wondered. I didn't have to wait long to find out. Dad and I arrived at the supermarket at 1802. He didn't stop at the newspaper stand on the way in or take a look at the cakes and donuts. Now, that was strange. This was a man who never walked past baked goods without an appreciative sniff. He just grabbed a shopping trolley and ran into the store. He went straight to the chiller cabinets in aisle 17. Actually, he went to one specific shelf. There were all different kinds of food on this shelf, from chicken to hummus to quiche, but they all had the same yellow sticker. There was a man putting the stickers on while Dad looked. Come over here, Maggie, he shouted. Let's choose something for tea tonight. They reduced the price of everything after 6 p.m. Dad was happily putting food in our trolley when suddenly I heard someone laughing. I turned round and saw Kyla Jackson from my year at school. Oh no, what does she want? Kyla is the class bully, and she can make your life a nightmare. She was with a couple of other girls, and they were all laughing and pointing at me. Great! What are they doing now? Kyla had her mobile phone and was taking pictures of me. No, photos. Why did she want photos of me at the supermarket with my dad? I was so embarrassed, I just wanted to disappear. Come on, Dad, let's go, I whispered. Okay, Maggie Moo, maybe we can get some ice cream too, he said, and walked off to the frozen food aisle, past Kyla and her gang. I followed him, head down, and as I walked past, Kyla said in a sing-song voice by Yellow Sticker Girl, What? Chapter 2, Happy Saturdays. The Yellow Sticker Girl. That was my new nickname at school. It wasn't a nice nickname like Meggie or Meg or even Maggie Moo, which was quite embarrassing at my age. It was horrible. Kyla posted my photo at the supermarket all over social media with the hashtag #TheYellowStickerGirl. All my classmates saw the photo, and some people even left nasty comments like they're a family of tramps. And they look in rubbish bins for their tea as well. What is wrong with these people? Don't they know that just because we haven't got a lot of money at the moment, we're still just a normal family? Other kids at school laughed at me when I walked down the corridor, and no one wanted to sit next to me at lunchtime. Thanks, Kyla. I can't believe she was my best friend at primary school. Anyway, school was a nightmare, and I couldn't wait for the bell to ring at the end of every day and go home. One day, I was walking home on my own when I saw a sign in the bakery window. It was for a Saturday girl. A part-time job? I looked in through the bakery window. There were a couple of ladies standing behind the counter, putting bread and cakes into paper bags. Cake! Yum! There was carrot cake, egg custards, iced fingers, and lots more too. The shop was full of customers in a long queue, but everyone was smiling and waiting patiently. I decided to be brave and go in. As soon as I opened the door, I was hit by the amazing smell of freshly baked bread. I have to work here. Suddenly, a loud voice shouted out from round the back. The muffins are out of the oven. Get your muffins. And then the owner of the voice appeared. Mr. Turner was a large, round man. I suppose that's what happens when you eat delicious cakes every day, with an equally round, smiley face. Okay, Megan, you can do it. Ask him about the job. Excuse me, sir, I shouted. I saw the ad in the window for a Saturday girl. Ah, yes, replied Mr. Turner as he came to the front of the counter. Do you have any experience? He asked. No. But I love cake, I replied hopefully. Mr. Turner laughed. Well, I suppose that is the main requirement for someone who wants to work in a bakery, he said. Can you start next week? Yes. Sorry, I mean yes, please. Thank you. I laughed nervously. There was one thing I had to tell Mr. Turner, though, before I left. Mr. Turner? Yes, dear, he answered. Do you know that you can't advertise for a Saturday girl? We're in the 21st century now. You have to advertise for a Saturday person. I'm sure there are boys who like cake too, I laughed. You're absolutely right, dear, replied Mr. Turner. He went to the shop window, took the sign down, crossed out girl, and wrote person. I need another Saturday person, he said. This is a very busy bakery. Mr. Turner gave me my uniform, some free cake. Leah is going to love my new job. And I went home feeling super happy. Finally, there was some good news. On the Saturday morning, I was really nervous. I went downstairs for breakfast, and there was a surprise waiting for me. A full English breakfast. Dad was putting everything onto a big plate. You're a worker now, he said. You need a good breakfast. Thanks, Dad. I smiled back. Leah came into the kitchen then with Mom. There was bacon and eggs for her too, but Mom and Dad just had a cup of tea. Where's your breakfast? I asked, but they just shook their heads and said, We're not hungry this morning, love. Eat up. Leah is too young to understand and happily ate her breakfast, but I was already thinking about the first thing I wanted to buy with my wages, bacon and eggs for everyone. After breakfast, I went upstairs and got my uniform on. The red skirt and red and white striped blouse, made me feel very important. I have a real job, but I wasn't too sure about the white hat. Mom, Dad, and Leah all thought I looked great, of course. You look beautiful, said Mom. Yes, and so professional too, added Dad. Cute, laughed Leah. I walked to the bus stop feeling happy and confident. The 204 bus came on time, and 10 minutes later I was in town. I had butterflies in my tummy, but I was excited too. While I was walking to the bakery, I saw Kyla and some of the other girls, but luckily they didn't see me. I decided to go straight to the bakery. A run-in with Kyla before my new job? No thanks. I was a few minutes early, but Mr. Turner was just happy to see me. Come on in, Kyla, dear, he welcomed me. We're busy this morning. Get your hat on. I spent the next 4 hours serving bread and cake, smiling at customers, and trying to resist the temptation to eat a strawberry tart. Everyone was so nice, and the morning passed really quickly. At the end of my shift, Mr. Turner came to talk to me. Well done, Megan, he complimented me. You worked really hard, you're smart, and the customers love you. Wow, thanks, Mr. Turner, I replied. Then he gave me an envelope with my wages in and a bag of bread and cakes. We don't like to waste food, he said. I love my job. I went to the bakery every week. Saturday was my favorite day of the week. There was even a new Saturday boy. I used my wages to buy treats for all the family. I didn't need to ask Mom and Dad to top up my mobile phone anymore either. I used my money. Saturdays were my escape from the nightmare of school until one day I saw Kyla and some other girls at the bus stop. I was waiting for the bus to go to work when I heard, "Hey, yellow sticker girl? Oh no, not here as well." I looked over the road and Kyla was taking another photo of me in my uniform. Nice clothes, she shouted. Yeah, so trendy, added one of the other girls, laughing. Great, what will the next hashtag be? Chapter 3, A Bank with a Difference. I didn't turn my phone on all weekend. Social media was my new enemy. But on Monday morning, I had to check my online diary. My phone started pinging immediately. A girl from my science class, who I thought was my friend, tagged me in one of the posts. There was a big photo of me in my uniform, and the hashtag this time was #the yellow sticker #fashion disaster. Okay, so it was embarrassing, but luckily I wasn't wearing my hat. Maybe the other kids at school won't even see the photo. Or maybe they will. As I looked at my screen, comments started to appear. No food, no clothes, no life. Total loser. I heard other phones pinging, and that's when the laughing and the pointing started again. The other kids were all looking at me, and I wanted to disappear. Please, please make me invisible. There was only one solution, the toilets. I ran down the corridor, into the girls' toilets, into a cubicle, locked the door, and cried. Why is my life such a nightmare? I hated school. I hated Kyla and the other bullies. I just wanted to go home. Home. I know it's a cliche, but home really is where the heart is. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had a lot of love. Leah was always so happy to see me, especially when I had cake. Maggie, Maggie, come and look at my unicorn, she shouted as I walked through the front door that Saturday after work. Hey, Leah, wow, that's a fabulous unicorn, I replied as I looked at her latest painting. It's for you, Maggie, she smiled. Thank you so much, I laughed, picking her up for a hug. I couldn't really see a unicorn among the blue, pink, and yellow splodges of paint, to be honest. But Leah made it just for me, and I felt better already after my terrible week at school. The other kids were still making fun of me, and I didn't want to tell Mom and Dad because they had enough problems. Where are Mom and Dad? I asked Leah as I gave her an iced finger. In the kitchen, talking, she said. Grown up stuff. Grown up stuff. Uh-oh. Sounds like more trouble. Mom, Dad, I'm home, I shouted through to the kitchen. Just a minute, Maggie. We're coming, Mom shouted back. I had a feeling that my bad week was about to get worse. And I was right. Mom and Dad came into the living room, said hello, and then continued whispering in the corner. Dad was holding a couple of pound coins in his hand, and Mom had something in her hand too. It looked like a letter. What was it? Who was it from? Leah and I were watching some cartoons while she ate her iced finger, but after a few minutes, Mom and Dad told me to follow them into the kitchen. Come in here in a minute, Maggie. We want to talk to you, Mom said. No more bad news, please. Okay, Maggie, so the situation is quite bad now, Mom explained. We have this gas bill to pay, and we have no money for food. No money for food. We really are going to starve. Are we going to die, cold and hungry? I asked my mom in a panic. We're not going to die, Maggie, Mom reassured me. But we do need help. My grandparents were dead, and Mom and Dad didn't have any brothers or sisters. Who will help us? There is a food bank in town, Mom continued. We can go there for some food today. A food bank? I thought banks were places for people to keep their money. What's a food bank? I asked. It's a charity, Dad explained. They give people food when they don't have enough money to buy it for themselves. Charity? Oh no. First the yellow stickers, now free food like homeless people. I don't want charity, I shouted angrily. I don't want to be poor. I know, Maggie, Dad said as he hugged me. I know it's a horrible situation, but we're lucky that there are organizations that want to help us. Even as I cried, I knew that Dad was right. I didn't want Leah to be hungry, and I didn't want her to know how bad our situation was. I'll go with Mom, I offered. You stay here and play with Leah, Dad. Dad smiled and gave me an even bigger hug. My sweet, sweet Maggie, he said. Thank you, love. The bus stopped right outside the community food bank on Market Street. Mom and I were both a bit nervous, but we were greeted at the door by a volunteer. Hi, come in, she said. My name's Maureen. Is this your first time? Yes, it is, Mom answered hesitantly. I'm Abby, and this is my daughter, Megan. Okay, well, don't worry about anything Abby and Megan. I'll show you what to do. Maureen reassured us. We walked into a big hall and there was food everywhere. It was so organized. Maureen gave us a shopping bag and took us to the different tables. On one table there were boxes of pasta, rice, and cereal. On another there were tins of soup, tuna, beans, and spaghetti hoops, and on another there was soap and shampoo. Wow, where did all this stuff come from? Just choose all the things you need, said Maureen to Mom, and I'll go and get you a cup of tea and a biscuit. Mom and I soon had a full bag of shopping. There was even a big fridge in the corner, and I found some vanilla yogurt for me and some chocolate milk for Leah. Before we left, Mom and Maureen had a quick chat about our situation. Any family can have problems sometimes, Maureen reassured Mom. Just remember, you're not alone. You're part of a community, and we're here to help. Thank you so much, Mom replied. Maureen walked us to the door, and Mom was still chatting to her when we went outside. I was feeling better about everything when suddenly I heard laughing. Oh no, Kyla. Kyla and a couple of other girls were standing on the other side of the road, and they were taking another photo of me. I wanted to run over the road and tell Kyla to stop. I wanted to break her stupid phone, but I didn't want Mom to know about the bullying, so I just turned around and pretended they weren't there. Come on, Mom, let's go, I said. Leah is waiting for us. I'm coming, love, Mom shouted happily. Chapter 4, An Unexpected Ally. I wanted to be happy too, but all the way home on the bus, I had a heavy heart. My phone pinged as soon as I got in the house. Tagged again. I thought about this week's hashtag, #foodbankgirl, #no money, #no supermarket. I didn't want to look, but I wanted to know what people were saying about me. Be brave, Megan. Okay, here goes. I looked at my screen. There was another big photo of me and the hashtag #TheYellowStickerGirl #total charity case. The worst thing was the comments, though. Disappear, you sad loser, and tell your lazy dad to get a job. That was it. I couldn't read anymore. I threw my phone on the floor and lay on my bed, crying into my pillow. Why were people so horrible? My poor dad wasn't lazy. He was fantastic. After a few minutes, I heard a knock on my bedroom door. It was Mum. Come and have a vanilla yogurt, love, she said as she came into my room, but she stopped when she saw me on the bed. What's wrong, Maggie? She asked. Come here, love. Mom gave me a big hug, and I really wanted to tell her about Kyla and the other kids at school. Remember, you can tell me and Dad anything, Maggie, Mom continued. I know, but you and Dad have enough problems at the moment, I said. Listen to me, Maggie, Mom said in her serious voice. Your dad and I have some money problems, that's all. The most important thing for us is that you and Leah are happy. Now tell me what's wrong. Between my tears, I told Mom everything. I told her about the photos at the supermarket, at the bus stop, and outside the food bank. I told her about my new nickname, the the yellow sticker girl, and about how everyone laughed and pointed at me. Mom listened quietly, and then she finally said, "Okay, don't worry about anything, Megan. I'll go to school on Monday morning and talk to the head teacher." "No, no, no. Mom, please don't go to school. Everyone will see you." Mom agreed not to go to school, yet, but there were two conditions. I had to tell her everything from now on, and I had to speak to my form teacher about the situation. Great. Lucky for me, I got a bad cold that week and stayed home from school. TV in bed, tick, no homework, tick, no bullies, tick, what a great week. By Saturday, I was better and decided to go to the food bank with Mom after work. I liked Maureen, and I really wanted some more vanilla yogurt, but my good luck was about to end. As soon as we entered the hall, I saw Kyla. What was she doing here? Mom saw her too and waved. Kyla was with her mom and two little brothers, and they all came over. "No, please." Kyla didn't look like her usual self, though, and she certainly wasn't laughing now. "Is everything okay?" Mom asked Kyla's mom. "No, not really," Kyla's mom replied sadly. "My husband is unemployed at the moment." "Don't worry," Mom said. "We're in the same situation, but everyone here is really friendly. Megan, go and show Kyla what to do." "What? Me?" I was about to protest, but Mom gave me one of those looks. I knew I didn't have any choice. Kyla didn't look very happy either, but I took her over to a table where there was some rice and pasta in a box and gave her a shopping bag. I thought Mom was crazy. I didn't want to talk to my bully, and I definitely didn't want to help her. I wanted to be mean to Kyla. I wanted to make her feel embarrassed. I wanted to make her feel as bad as she made me feel at school. I wanted to... I stopped and looked at Kyla. She looked so sad and scared. "Look, Kyla," I said. "It's not..." Kyla interrupted me. "No, Megan, there's something I need to say first. I'm sorry." "Sorry? Wow, I wasn't expecting that." "You're sorry?" I asked. "Yes," replied Kyla. "Really sorry." "Why did you do it?" I asked. "I didn't want people to know that my dad hasn't got a job and that we haven't got any money," she confessed. "I didn't want people to laugh at me, so I got them to laugh at you." Great, I was a distraction. I was still a bit mad, but then Kyla started to tell me about her situation at home, and it was terrible. Her mom was sick, so she couldn't work, and then her dad lost his job last year. They didn't have enough money to pay the rent or bills, and she was worried about her two little brothers. I still didn't really understand why she bullied me, but I understood how it felt to want to protect a brother or sister. Maybe me and Kyla had more in common than we thought. I decided to give her a chance. "Look, let's start again, Kyla," I suggested. "We were friends at primary school. Maybe we can be friends again." "Really? Thank you, Megan," she replied. We were talking about all the fun we had in Miss Murphy's class at St. John Fisher Primary when Maureen interrupted us. "Girls," she shouted, "we have a small problem. Two of our volunteers are sick today and can't come in and help. Saturdays are our busiest day, so I need two new volunteers." Kyla and I looked at each other. "Do you mean," started Kyla. "You want us to?" I asked. "Yes, yes. Come on, girls," replied Maureen. "You are my two new volunteers. Remember, smile, bag, food, and smile again." Kyla and I laughed and followed Maureen to one of the tables. We passed Mum on the way, and she gave me a thumbs up. Why are mums always right? Our first customer was Mrs. Worthing, a sweet old lady. She lived on her own and didn't have any family. We tried to fill her bag with tinned goods, but she only wanted a couple of things. "Save the good stuff for the kiddies," she said. "I'm fine with a couple of tins of beans." There were lots of other people after Mrs. Worthing. Some of them were new to the food bank, and some of them were regulars. But not all the people who came that day needed food. Some of them brought it. Mr. Polonsky from the mini market brought some sandwiches and biscuits. Mrs. Duffy from the greengrocer's brought some bananas, and Mrs. Singh from the chemist's brought some nappies and shampoo. It wasn't only local business people who donated things to the food bank. I saw a couple of families from my street coming in with parcels. "Look," I said to Kyla, "there are so many people who want to help." "I know," she replied. "It's amazing, isn't it?" I looked around the hall and suddenly felt happy and proud that I was helping too. Chapter 5. Community Spirit. I saw Kyla at school on Monday. She was with her friends, and I decided to just walk past, but suddenly I heard my name. "Megan," shouted Kyla. "Come here a minute." I went over, and suddenly her friends were all around me. "Sorry about the photos, Megan," one of them said. "And the horrible comments," added another. "Wow, more apologies." Kyla smiled at me and suggested that we talk to our form teacher together. "We can tell him about our problems at home and the bullying," she said sadly. "Okay," I agreed. I didn't want Kyla to get in trouble, but I did want our teacher to know that life was hard for a lot of kids and that cyberbullying was a big problem. Maybe the teacher could organize a class assembly about being kind and helping others. Helping others? What could I do to help other people more? I suddenly had an idea. I could ask Mr. Turner for more bread and cake at the end of my Saturday shift and take it to the food bank. Or I could deliver it to some of the old people who lived near me and didn't have enough money for treats. I really liked the idea. I thought about my ideas all week and decided to speak to Mr. Turner on Saturday. I told him all about my family situation, about the food bank, and about my idea for helping more people. He was happy to help. "That sounds like a great idea, Megan," he said. "And you know, I don't like food waste." I was so excited, and I couldn't wait to tell Kyla. "Kyla, listen to this," I said as soon as I saw her. I explained everything to Kyla, and she was really enthusiastic. "That's brilliant, Megan," she said. "But maybe we can do more." "More? Wow, that sounded exciting." "Tell me, Kyla," I said. "What's your idea?" "I want to use social media for something positive," she said. "I want to write a post about the food bank and ask people to make donations." Genius. Kyla had a lot of followers, and hundreds of people saw her post. The food bank received new donations every week from businesses and local people. I was really happy, and then, about a month later, things got even better. "I've got a job, Maggie Moo," Dad shouted one evening. We had enough money now, but I still worked at the bakery. I loved that job, and I still went to the food bank every Saturday with Kyla to help Maureen. After we finished, Kyla and I always went to the supermarket together, but never before 6 p.m. We loved to look at all the stuff on offer in the chiller cabinet on aisle 17. Sometimes we found some unusual yellow sticker ingredients for dinner. "What's kale?" I asked. "Looks like a kind of cabbage," Kyla replied. "Okay, it's only 45p. Maybe I can use it in a stir fry with these mushrooms and this beef," I said. "Sounds like a plan," laughed Kyla. Kyla often slept over at my house on Saturday evenings, and we spent hours inventing recipes with our yellow sticker ingredients. Okay, so maybe our fish and apple rice wasn't the best combination, but our pasta bake with tuna, peppers, onions, and cheese was delicious. It cost less than £2 to make, and everyone loved it. "We make some really nice dishes," Kyla said suddenly. "I know," I agreed. "They taste great, and they are really cheap, too. Plus, we are reducing food waste," she added. "We are," I smiled. "And we can freeze our leftovers, too, so there is zero waste." "We are just so cool," she laughed. "Seriously, we should share our ideas." "But how?" I asked. "Social media," we shouted in unison. "We need our own page," Kyla said. "What can we call it?" "We need something original," I replied. "How about the yellow?" "Sticker Girls," finished Kyla. "I love it." "Me too," I smiled.